Today I want to talk a little bit about marketing resources and the exponential power of customer satisfaction. I want to share some thoughts about its importance and how it contributes to your business success. I'll also share a story from my own personal experience I think you'll enjoy. I want to start with a question. Why do you pay attention to customer satisfaction? Or do you pay attention to customer satisfaction? But if you do, why? Is it to satisfy your own sense of goodwill so you can sleep at night knowing that you've done a good job, that you've helped people, turned out a good product? Well, I think there's some legitimacy to that. Is it because you want to keep dissatisfied people from hassling you and getting in your face? Well, maybe there's some merit to that as well. But is there a more serious economic and business growth reason to pay attention to customer satisfaction? I believe there is. Some things in life and business are important, but not easy. Taxes is one of those things. It's important, and I know that I have to deal with them, but I tell you what, I'm glad that I can outsource my tax preparation to somebody who knows more than I do. Customer satisfaction is also important, and a lot of times it's not easy. But guess what? You can't outsource customer satisfaction. A lot of times it's fuzzy, it's hard to measure and hard to fix. Are people satisfied? To what degree? Are they dissatisfied? Well, why? Is their dissatisfaction even legitimate? Those are sometimes hard questions to answer. We make decisions in life and business about what we're going to pay attention to, partly based on a pain versus profit continuum. Here's what I mean. On one end of the scale, you have things that are maybe easy to understand or easy to pay attention to, and you know you're going to get a good payoff by paying attention to them. On the other end of the scale, there are things that are hard to understand or hard to pay attention to, and you're not really sure if you're going to get much of a payoff or not. Well, the stuff that's easy and pays off, that's a no-brainer. That's going to be high on your priority list. And the stuff that's harder to pay attention to, and you're not clear if you're going to get a payoff, well, that stuff ends up being low on your priority list. Because customer satisfaction is often fuzzy, it gets ignored until somebody complains. Well, that's not what you want, because dissatisfied people don't always complain. But I'd like to put the subject of customer satisfaction in a different light so that we can look at it from a more proactive than reactive standpoint. Now, I'm more of a motorsports guy, but I'm going to talk about football for a minute. Making a sale is exciting, especially when you're in big ticket sales or long lead time sales. It's like making a touchdown. You've planned your plays, you've executed well, you've crossed the goal line, and kapow! You get that touchdown and the crowd goes wild, there's high fives all around, and it's time to celebrate. That's exactly what you're looking for. What could be better than getting a touchdown? Well, what about winning a game? A touchdown isn't worth a lot if you don't win the game. However, if you strategize and maximize the power of your offense and defense, and you get more touchdowns or more points than your competitor, you win, and that absolutely rocks. The crowd goes wild, you get a great write-up in the newspaper, you get to celebrate for a week. What could be better than winning the game? Well, how about winning a championship? Football players dream of having a great winning season and then getting to the Super Bowl and playing in the Super Bowl and winning and getting that Super Bowl ring. Boy, that is awesome. Well, how does that relate to customer satisfaction, and what does it have to do with marketing resources? Well, there are three things that you want people to do. You want people to buy from you, and you want them to buy repeatedly, and you want them to refer other people to you who will also buy repeatedly. When people make that first purchase from you, that's like getting the touchdown. But when they buy over and over, that's like winning the game. But when they start referring others to you who buy over and over, well, that's like winning the championship. That's really what you're after. Well, what does this have to do with marketing resources? And I'm glad you asked. Think about the time and effort and money that you put into making a sale. And you think about, okay, so then the sale cost me X amount of money. Or I got X amount of return on my marketing resources. Well, if people buy from you over and over again, then you're getting a much better return on your marketing resources. And then if they refer other people to you who buy over and over again, then you're getting an exponential return on your marketing resources. Let me tell you a story from my own personal life. I'll give you a little bit of background. I told you I'm kind of a car guy. Every Saturday morning, I have a ritual where I check the fluid levels on my car. So I check the oil level and other fluid levels. And I also check my tire pressures. And sometimes I even check the tire pressure on the spare. Well, I go to weather.com and I make a calculation for what the average temperature is going to be for the upcoming week. And I set my tire pressures for what the upcoming week is going to be. Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but that's part of my recreation and that's how I roll. Well, you take a guy like me, and here's my story about this car dealer that I've been dealing with. I bought a couple of cars from this dealer, and I've been very satisfied. And in recent years, they were, I guess I would call them like rock stars. They could almost do no wrong for a long period of time. I had a consistently great service experience when I would bring my cars in to have them worked on. And it was awesome for a number of years. But then at some point, things began to break down. Their processes started breaking down, and then something started happening that was bothering me. One particular car, whenever I would take it in for an oil change, they would overfill it a little bit. So you're familiar with a dipstick maybe. You know, there's a minimum and a maximum. And they were overfilling pretty consistently on this one particular car. And I brought it to their attention, and they would say, oh, no, we can't do that. We get it right because we have this machine that does it perfectly. Well, are you telling me I don't know how to check a dipstick? I don't think so. So we went round and round about this, and I got to tell you, it just seemed like they just didn't care. So my estimation of them has kind of been on the decline. It used to be that I would recommend them and speak in glowing terms about this particular dealer. Well, I don't speak in glowing terms of them anymore. It used to be a foregone conclusion that I would buy another car from this dealer. And I got to tell you, it is no longer a foregone conclusion that I will buy another car from them. And when people ask me for a recommendation or wonder what my experience is with this dealer, well, guess what? I can't give them a glowing recommendation. So here's my question to you. Are you paying attention to customer satisfaction, and why? Well, that's all I've got for today. I hope that helps you. This is Steve Smart, the Marketing Guy.